I'll do the donk.
Like,
Just a brother and sister
Hello.
hang out.
Hello.
Yeah, chatting about media. Lol. Donk.
Report.
Recording in progress. Okay, here we are again for the Thomas Edmonds take on the Chamber of Secrets / Harry Potter. And so last time we kind of covered the setup of the series as a whole, because not that much happens in the first book, especially in terms of like the greater narrative of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But I think more does kind of happen and start to get set up in number 2, Chambers of Secrets. Yeah, which is what we want, because it's a very long series, you know? It's like, if you didn't have like a bit of foreshadowing and like flashbacking and blah, 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 it wouldn't be fun. I did realize actually going through each book, like, she really pointedly like reconfirms details quite a lot, like
Yeah.
character descriptions and like the ceiling in the Great Hall and like
every book you're kind of reintroduced to a bunch of stuff.
yeah, even Harry Potter. Harry
Yeah.
Potter is not like other boys his age and shit. It's like, what? I thought he was just a normal guy.
Like, I know.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh yeah, just the same stuff, and often she says it like exactly the same, you know?
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't try to like describe it in a different way because she's written it even like 5 times before or something. She just is like, well, I'll stick with that.
What is for kids? I mean, like, it might be a
Yeah.
thing that's like, you know, programming it into the kids in a certain way or something, like do it the exact way.
Well, I guess when you're writing them, you know, like they would have come out like at least a year or so apart, right? So like, if you're thinking of that, then you would want to like remind kids. I mean, she didn't think it was going to become one of the like classic series that everyone reads
And criticizes.
for decades. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely there was like at least a few years between the ones that were coming out when I was already reading them. It's like that with anime too. Like, it's like people would have been watching it like once a week, not like 5 episodes in a day. So it's like recapping it every time, and it's like, oh yeah.
Do you remember when?
Yeah, I also quite like noticed and maybe enjoyed like the really like regular rhythm. Like, every book starts back at the Dursleys and it's like, what's gonna happen this summer? Usually something happens, like he has some kind of like contact with the wizarding world, or goes back to like, I don't know, you know, like the burrow, or like runs away or whatever.
Yeah, usually not. I mean, like, something happens this summer, but there's like, this is the one where he has no wizarding contact.
Oh yeah, because
Like,
Dobby's taking all the
Dobby's being a bitch.
yeah. Yeah, I kind of like even didn't quite remember some details like that, and reading it, and I was like, oh yeah, Dobby's taking all the letters and shit.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff in rereading them that like I'm reading along with it and I know something's up with like this or that, but I'm like, what is that? Like, something's happening here.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, and like some of that stuff too, that like Dobby's like fucking with his broom and shit, and I was like, oh, who's doing that again, you know? And it was Dobby again.
Yeah. Bloody Dobby.
Bloody Dobby.
This is obviously Dobby's first, like, you know, outing. This is where we meet Dobby.
Yeah.
Which is new. I think also this is, I mean, I might be wrong, but I think this is the first time there's anything about the Whomping Willow.
Yeah.
I don't I don't think it's even mentioned in the first one.
I don't
Is
think
it?
so either. And I think I was looking out for it when I was reading the first one because I was like curious to see how much it was foreshadowed before the third one.
I don't think it is though.
Nah, I think it just came up as part of that the car storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dobby is kind of like one of the first like I don't know, like deepening like plots that deepens the wizarding world, you know? Like it's
Yeah.
like there's specific things that wizarding families have, like rich wizarding families have, or like whatever. And then
Yeah.
he goes to the burrow too, right? Because
Yes.
they come and get him.
Yeah, this is the first Burrow outing as well.
Oh yeah, and they put the bars on his window and locked him in his room, eh?
Which is so fucked, eh? That shit is crazy.
Yeah, they're like putting his meals through the trapdoor.
Yeah. Like, fuck you. You're not going anywhere. It's crazy. He's 12. Like, that's
Yeah.
insane. This is also the first time he goes by flu powder.
Oh yeah.
Is this the one where he goes to Nocturne Alley by mistake?
I
think
think it must be because that's the first time he uses blue powder.
Yeah.
Because they go all together to get the books and shit, and then he fucks it up
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he's
and then-
coughing on the blue powder. And what is he
Uh,
getting? Oh yeah, because then there's like the fight between Malfoy's dad and Mr. Weasley, and
Yeah.
he like slips Ginny the book,
Yeah.
the journal.
I was so like aware of that when I read that scene because it's like he picks up one of Ginny's books and he's like, "Oh, second hand, blah 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 blah," and
Yeah.
then puts it back in like her cauldron, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's it."
It's so like it's weird though because like before she really gets possessed by it or anything, like why isn't she like, why is this fucking old journal in my cauldron? You know?
Yeah.
Like-
I think she explains that, doesn't she? Because there's a whole bit when everything gets revealed where they're talking about how like Mr. Weasley has always said their whole life that you never trust anything where you can't see where its brain is.
Yeah.
And she was like, I just thought it was like someone's old diary that came in the secondhand book, you know, like I didn't think anything about it. But it's like, if you find a book that writes back to you, like responds to you, I don't know. I guess she's 11, you know, she's really little, but still, wouldn't you be like, what's up with that? And mention it to like anyone?
Yeah, I don't
Maybe
know
even
why.
her
I don't
friends.
really know why she's writing in it in the first place. But also, like, I was kind of like impressed that there was that much foreshadowing of like the. Well, I don't know if it was really planned, but it seems like it was that like Malfoy was that connected with Voldemort and like that he had like had his journal, and also that was like the first Horcrux.
Yeah. What is his motivation?
I think one. I think he didn't know. Obviously, he didn't know it was a Horcrux, but I didn't think he really thought that much of it. I think he thought it was like a dark object, and they were doing those raids. The Ministry was like raiding people about like
Yeah,
looking
right.
for like dark objects, and like he was trying to like get rid of shit. And I think he was trying to frame the Weasleys so that to discredit them, so that they even if they raid his shit.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that.
That makes sense,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, this one also like foreshadows all the stuff that happens in 6 with like the Borgin and Burke stuff,
Yes.
you know, because he like goes there and he hides in the banishing cabinet.
Yeah.
And he sees the necklace and stuff.
Which is funny that he doesn't vanish.
I know. But maybe you have to like do a spell inside the cabinet or something.
Nah, because in the 5th one or whatever, they shut the other, like the Slytherin Quidditch team captain in there, and he just disappears. But it was broken, right? The other one, so maybe I don't know.
Yes.
Not
Yeah, I
too
think
bad.
that's probably.
But the cursed locket was in there. Oh, there was a different locket.
No, the cursed necklace is there.
Yeah, but it's not the
Because Harry
Horcrux.
says he sees it.
Yeah.
No, not the Horcrux. The Katie Bell one.
By the way, how cool is that thing that like only shows light for the holder, the person who holds it, that hand?
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's real buzzy because that crops back up in the 6th one, and like they drop the like Peruvian instant darkness powder or whatever, but then Malfoy can see because he's like got that. It's like eerie. That's real buzzy. That like I don't know.
I haven't
It's
got
cool
to that
idea.
bit. Don't spoil it.
Sorry.
What happens next? They go to Flourish and Blots.
Oh, also, it's like the first trip to the Burrow, right? Before that.
Yeah.
And like they come and bust him out of his room and then run away from the Dursleys, lol, and like yeah, like so a lot of that stuff is like expanding the magical world. Like obviously we knew Ron had a family and like but then there's like the flying car and like all the stuff about Mr. Weasley's obsession with muggles and shit.
Which is so entertaining, eh?
Yeah. It's a really good running joke.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, this is the first one where like I don't know, the injustices that happen to Harry and stuff just always made me so mad. So like, you know, when he gets like told off for Dobby doing magic.
Yeah.
They, like detect Dobby doing magic at Four Privet Drive and they're like, you, and I was like, that's so unfair. How can they not tell what is
that's
done
like
and what is done by elf magic, you know?
Well, that's like one of the big inconsistencies for me, I think, because there's like seems to be like two kind of things happening there. Like they say that it's like it's only they can only tell that magic was being done somewhere.
Yeah.
And then they just have to guess like that it was someone underage because like they're like muggle born and shit. But then like but then it's like the what's it called? Like the trace is like attached to you like when you're under 17. So it's like
it doesn't make any sense.
I think it's like there's like a bit of a hole there. Like because it also like nothing would really stop Fred and George and like whatever everyone from like doing magic because they were like, oh, it's just Molly doing some weird like experimental jokes or whatever.
It's just her secret vibe. Yeah, because also then surely it would pick up like, oh, I guess in the third one, Harry does get really worried that he's going to be expelled for blowing up his aunt. But I was going to say, like, then it would be picking up all unintentional magic by children.
Yeah.
You know? But,
and they know exactly what it was.
Maybe that's how they find Muggleborns, though. You know?
Maybe. But yeah, how does that... Well, I guess so, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that works. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it must be just attached to everyone with magic under 17. It's pretty hazy, though. Like, how would you, like, code that, like, spell or whatever? You know, like, how do you, like, set the specifics of this spell so it's, like, picking up all bodies that are under 17 that have magic?
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense, eh?
But yeah, when he blows up his aunt and like they know everything about it, and they know that it was like a hovering charm and shit that Dobby was doing, but then they don't get the details of who's doing that. It's like a bit retarded. Like, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, really. I don't know.
Because also, like, Harry could go off to like Diagon Alley or whatever and just be doing magic and shit, and no one would know. I think there's some other instance where he's like, yeah, like, who would know that he was doing the Patronus when he saves Dudley in like the 5th one or whatever?
What do you mean, who would know?
Well, like, he wasn't at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's very inconsistent.
Okay, that's enough of that.
What doesn't make any sense, does it? I was gonna say something else.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you can say something else.
No, I can't remember what it was now.
So what's his name? The new Defense
Gilderoy
Against the Dark
Lockhart?
Arts teacher.
Yeah,
What is it?
Gilderoy Lockhart.
Yeah, Gilderoy
Oh.
Lockhart.
Really good name.
Oh yeah. You know this curse that like means that no one can stay longer than a year in that role.
Yeah.
But then I'm pretty sure that like they imply that Quirrell was there for like a few years or something.
Yeah, there's no mention of, like Harry's always thinking it, and like him and Ron and Hermione talk about, like in the 6th one, they're like, oh, well, hopefully Snape will leave at the end of the year because nobody's lasted more than a year. But they never talk to anyone else about it, like the twins or anything. So there's no mention of if those kids, or like Bill or Charlie or anything, also only had their teachers for 1 year.
Yeah, but like later on, there's this bit where like Voldemort's talking about how he like found Quirrell and it was super convenient because he was the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, and it sounds like, oh no, Barty's talking about it. Barty Crouch Jr. is talking about it, and like he's saying that like, yeah, whatever. But it's like implied that he was already the teacher and then he found him, and then like,
yeah.
But then
maybe the curse couldn't be, like the curse dies with you, and so like once Voldemort had like died and was not like a physical form, and then once he'd like attached himself to Quirrell, I don't know, how else would it make any sense?
Sounds a bit far-fetched to me.
I mean, there's so many holes that it's like I'm like reaching to explain them, but
Who made the curse? Was it Snape or Voldemort?
Voldemort, right? Because he doesn't get the job.
Was he going for Defense Against the Dark Arts?
I think so. He's
Huh.
like, he didn't get the job, so he's like, well, fuck you.
Oh, yeah.
You will never have a good teacher for more than a year.
If at all.
Yeah.
Lockhart is such a joke though, and like I was actually kind of thought it was a bit unrealistic how like Hermione's like so swooning after him when like he's obviously a fucking crock of shit, and like
I reckon, like there's no, I don't know, like maybe you can justify her being a bit swoony if she's like just read his books and that's all, but then once they meet him and have their first lesson with him and he's obviously fucking terrible at all magic, surely she'd be like,
yeah, because she's so like, I mean, she obviously cares so much about doing well and being proficient and shit.
Yeah, and they like don't learn anything from him.
No.
Like they probably learn less from him than they do from Umbridge,
They just read the book in her class. They don't even talk about it.
Yeah, I know, it's so funny.
And she's like, No, I think you'll be able to pass your exams just with the theoretical knowledge.
Yeah, one of the students, I think it's like one at Pavati or something, and she's like, so the first time we're going to be doing those spells is when we have our owl for practical defense against the dark arts. And she's like, yeah, you'll be fine. Like, okay.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few like kind of like tacky gendered things throughout the books like that. Like girls are like this and
really noticing it because I'm reading the 6th one now, which is the one where they start like dating and stuff.
Yeah.
And like the amount of times Harry's like, oh, there's this silly group of girls, this like giggling, you know, like he becomes Quidditch captain and he's like, oh, and this stupid group of girls that couldn't even fly and just fell laughing on the ground, blah 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 blah. And it's like, fuck, man, okay.
Yeah, but there's like heaps of stuff. Like it's really clear that he mostly tries not to cry, for example. And there's like 1 or 2 times where he like finally cries, and like most of the time, him and Ron are both just like
Stoic.
But there's heaps of stuff too. Like yeah, like Hermione and also Ron's mom being like, "Oh my god, Gilderoy Lockhart" and shit.
Yeah.
But like, you know, like the women being really good at the cooking spells and like I don't know, there's someone's mom or something is like, yeah, I never really got that good at the housework spells. Like housework spells is like a whole branch of magic, like
Yeah.
for women, kind of.
Yeah.
And like the
Women.
Mrs. Weasley's just like at home the whole time doing like cooking spells and shit.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I guess for ages she was raising like 7 children, but then like they're all at school.
Yeah.
All year, pretty much.
Yeah.
What is she up to? There's no like mention of what she does, if she does anything, you know. It's just like whatever. She doesn't need to be like a rounded character.
I guess the teachers are not like that, like McGonagall and shit. They're kind of like they're like formidable and shit.
Yeah, but McGonagall's kind of like a trope of like an old spinster, you know?
Yeah.
So like she's like the crone or whatever. I think this is also the first book where anyone gets called a mudblood.
Yes, it starts going in that direction.
Getting the slurs out.
Yeah, and like Malfoy really starts to show his like leaning towards like that world and shit. Like in the first one, he's just kind of a dick.
Yeah.
But like in the second one, it actually starts to be like, oh, actually something's going on there.
He's like invested in it.
Yeah, and it starts to hint that like that world is still there / might make a return at some point.
I liked the Death Day party in this one. I thought
is that
was
in that
really...
one?
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm just flipping through the chapter titles now. And
it's all right.
I just think it's another one of those like cool things that the movie obviously cuts out of like the depth of it. Like, you know, like you really learn more about Nearly Headless Nick rather than just like this comical figure who like pulls his head off at dinner.
Yeah.
You know, like you learn more about he's like not allowed to be in the headless hunt because he's not technically headless and shit, and like
yeah, there's a bit more of like culture and lore in there, even though it's a bit weak. Like
yeah, this is also where you learn that Filch is a squib.
Oh yeah, squibs come up in that book.
Quick spell thing in his office, and then Filch comes back and is like, were you just looking at that? And he's like, no.
Okay, I was actually going to talk about Filch last time because like why is he there? Like
I don't know.
He doesn't really do anything. There's no reason for the caretaking to be done without magic. Like,
well, it's like explained later that all the actual like caretaking, like janitorial stuff is done by house elves. So it's like
what the fuck does he do apart from like shout at children, you know, and like grump around?
Yeah, complain and like fantasize about torturing children.
I know. I wish I could hang you from your ankles. Like, all right, bro. I don't know, maybe it's just like Dumbledore's pity. It's like, okay, you can like hang around.
But why and how? Like, I'm like, how did that come up? Because yeah, like they've got all the work being done by house elves who can obviously do it like instantly. But then he's there like complaining to Harry about like, oh, you're walking mud through the wall. It's like,
I don't think you're not doing that. I guess.
well, he obviously is though, because there's like bits where he's like mopping shit up, or like, you know, there's heaps of instances of him having to actually deal with shit.
Well, I guess like in the fourth one, it's talked about that like the house elves only do stuff at night because they can't be seen, you know, like the staff don't want them to be seen, which is why I guess that's just like explaining why you've never seen a house elf at Hogwarts before.
Yeah.
Just like daytime caretaker.
Well, I guess also his role, his character was set up in the first one before she really brought in the house elves.
Yeah, this one I really thought, like I knew while I was reading it that all the people are stunned and not dead. But when I read when his cat gets got, which is like the first one, I was like, fuck, the cat dies. That's so crazy. And was
It
like,
doesn't die.
I know. I was like convinced she died though.
Oh, wait, this time or the first time?
This time.
Okay, so we are.
I actually like stopped and was like, oh, is she just like not in any of the other books? And then immediately it's like they're like, Filch, shut up. She's just stunned. She's not dead. And I was like, oh, okay.
How amazingly lucky is it that every single person like happens to see it through a reflection?
So
even though last time everyone died, like there were deaths like in the school, right?
I think it was just Moaning Myrtle, wasn't it?
Oh, so maybe that's the norm with the basilisks and shit. Like, it's really hard to get them direct in the eye.
It's so like absurd, eh? Like the first couple, whatever, and it's like 3 or 4, and you're like,
more stunnings, more petrifications.
And it's so like, I don't know, it's one of those stories where like obviously it's set up for itself to like work itself out, you know, but like the first stunning happens and they're like, oh, good thing everyone's working on mandrakes at the moment. Like that's what they used for, and it's like, oh wow, super convenient, bro.
Yeah, oi, that's one thing about these like classes and shit. They seem to work on one thing for a very long time. So it's like, how do they ever learn anything? It's like they only learned about mandrakes for like half a year in herbology. And then it's like, hey, so maybe they learned about 2 things that year.
I'm just in the 6th one, they're doing something with this like stump where they have to get the like seed pod out of it and it fights back, whatever.
Yeah.
But Harry's like, you know, the stump is waiting on their table, which was their project for the term. And then over the course of that lesson, they get the seed pods out and burst the seed pods. And it's like, how could this possibly be a term's worth of information? It's one plant. Do you leave Hogwarts knowing about like 30 plants, maybe? That's not enough.
I don't know, bro, but like a lot of them seem to be like that. Like they're like working on like one charm for like weeks on end, and then they're like in magical creatures. They're like working on like one animal for like weeks on it. They do flubberworms for the whole year.
Forever.
The whole year, and they don't even do anything. And then it turns out that they'd start dying because they're only being fed lettuce.
No, the Barsen's Groots die because they're eating each other.
Yeah. I mean the flubberworms.
Oh, I don't remember that.
That's in the
What was
third
it
one.
better? Oh.
Because he does like he does the hippogriffs once and then he gets in trouble, so he's like, oh, I better do something easy like flubberworms.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Hagrid, he's such a good character. This is obviously also the first book where, it's like revealed that Parselmouth is a thing, right?
Yes, but he had talked to the snake before in the first book.
Yeah, at the zoo.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say anything about it.
And that's another one of those instances where he's just like so clueless, you know.
Oh yeah, the flying car.
Yeah.
Reading through that again, I was like, that is just so unrealistic. Like, the parents are gonna come back in like 5 minutes when the train leaves. There's like absolutely no reason for them to fly to Hogwarts. And also, they get there at the same time as the train because they're like watching it. And then they crash and shit. But then they're like really late for the feast. And then the feast's already over by the time they'd finished getting told off by Snape. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah. Nothing. Time moves differently when you're in the Whomping Willow.
But the car thing itself too is like, that is just retarded. Like, why would you go, oh, I've got to take the car? And also, why can he drive?
Yeah, I know. That's just absurd. Like, Fred and George, I mean, they're older, but like, why would they know how to drive?
Well, they've probably stolen the car before, to be honest.
I guess so.
And also, it's a magic car, so it might not have so much like technical skill.
Stop and go.
Yeah, just.
It's also so bizarre though. Like, the car for the whole first bit that it's in is just a car. Oh wait, is that in the movie or in the book where it comes back and like
No, it's in both, yeah.
Is in the forest and is like way more sentient. Like,
yeah, it somehow transcends just being like a charmed object and becomes like a part of the family.
It's so weird.
Which, like, I'm sure that like in the mechanics of magic, that is not how it works. Like, you've charmed it to do like a specific thing. There's no connection between it being able to fly and go invisible and it having like awareness.
Yeah, that is just like impossible.
Come on, J.K. Rowling.
Come on.
Oh yeah, so the actual Chamber of Secrets shit.
Yeah. There's also where they first they make Polyjuice potion.
Oh yeah, which comes up almost every book.
So frequently.
It's like one of the only potions. It's like one of the main potions in the wizarding world, even though is it illegal?
They say it's illegal for them to make. Surely it's illegal, right? To like, I mean, I guess that's like fraud in our world.
Yeah, impersonation.
Yeah. Oh, I like seeing your cat in the back.
Oh yeah, he just came galloping in. I don't know what he's doing.
Cute.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
There's when we meet our first Creevy, meet Colin Creevy.
Oh, he's fucking annoying. He could have been killed by the.
Fucking annoying, eh?
I reckon the Basilisk could have taken him out, and like, no one would have.
That would have been way more better plot, eh?
Bro, like, she really doesn't have the hang of killing people off, eh? Like, she doesn't kill off any annoying minor characters, and then at the end, she just kind of kills off, like, heaps of the favorite characters.
Yeah, I know. It's really, like, weighted towards the last books, where it could have been, you know, like, the seriousness of the Chamber of Secrets opening could have been way more, like...
pronounced.
Yeah.
Also, I think, like, there could have been a bit more build up between that and like the fourth book or something. Like like people being like, oh no. Oh, I guess I mean like obviously no one knew about that Voldemort was doing it the first time, I guess. But still, I feel like people should have started to be like, oh shit, this could be a sign that he might come back kind of soon.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Is this is the one where Hagrid gets sent to Azkaban, right?
Yes.
Which is fucking crazy.
Which is before they set up all the shit about Azkaban and like the Dementors and shit. Like that shit doesn't exist yet. And so he's just like gets carted off to Azkaban and he comes back and he's like, well, that was a bit shit.
Really downplaying it.
Maybe it doesn't affect giants as much. That happens quite a lot.
Well, when they try to take him in the fifth one, they are like all these dudes stunning him, and he's like got fang, and he's like yeah, there's like heaps of new stuff in this one, eh? Like the world gets so much bigger. They start like they do dueling club, which is when he finds out he's a parcel mouth. Is he a parcel mouth and it's parcel tongue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he learns the famous Expelliarmus charm.
Classic.
Which ends up being like his signature move later on, which is like the lamest shit ever.
So funny, eh?
I guess it like does make a lot of sense though. It's like, oh, I'll just take your wand away and you can't like do anything. Fuck you.
Yeah, but he still does it with like Bellatrix Lestrange and shit. And it's like, if there's anyone you should try and take out a little bit more seriously, it's her.
Yeah, but he also like in the fifth one, at the end of the fifth one, just after she's killed Sirius, he does try to Cruciatus her, and it not over. But then she's like, ha, 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 "You've never done that before. You need to really mean it." And he's like, "Oh, okay."
Fine.
How embarrassing. I always felt like it seemed like there should be more like consequence or like permanence of Hermione accidentally like polyjuicing herself into a cat.
Yeah, no one asks about that. Like, she's in the hospital wing for weeks and no one's like, what are you doing?
What's up with that, bro?
And like Harry's only got Ron to help him, who's like not really getting anywhere.
Bungle Ron.
Yeah, but like it doesn't even say what excuses she made to be like, oh yeah, I just tried to turn into a cat.
Thought it'd be interesting.
Maybe it says something about it, like, nah, I don't know. But everyone's like, oh, she's just so smart. She's just trying to go a little bit too far.
Yeah, all they talk about is how she like still does all her homework, and Ron's like, crazy bitch.
Yeah, I guess we like find out. Yeah, I thought it was interesting to start finding out about like Tom Riddle. And like then you start to, it's like it totally sets up all the stuff in the sixth one where they're like he's learning about the past, like Voldemort's past and shit.
Well, there's so much stuff. Like I was just reading the bit in the sixth one where they're like talking about Tom Riddle at Hogwarts, and Harry's like, oh, but you never trusted him, eh? Because he remembers that Tom says that in this one.
Yeah. That pesky transfiguration teacher, Dumbledore.
Yeah. That's crazy. Young man.
And it was Ginny the whole time.
Fucking Ginny. Crazy bitch.
So could anyone control the basilisk if they can use Parseltongue?
I think it was like because she doesn't remember any of that happening. It's because Tom Riddle's possessing her.
But like, so using Parseltongue though to like.
Yeah, because I haven't actually read the 7th book yet, but in one of the 7th movies, Ron gets into the Chamber of Secrets without Harry because Harry speaks Parseltongue in his sleep. So Ron's like picked up on it and he's like, and they get in,
Well, yeah, that's quite weak though how the Chamber of Secrets is set up then, eh? Because like anyone who could do that, there must be some like linguists, like wizarding linguists who have records of how to use Parseltongue. But it kind of seems like only the Slytherin bloodline can use it.
Yeah, but I don't think that's true because it's just a language, right?
Well,
but like the last people who could speak it, how does Tom Riddle know how to speak it?
no, it's like inherited because like there's a bunch of stuff in the 6th one about how like his mother's family all speak it.
They all speak it. But I would have thought, how can you be born with language?
It's magic.
Oh, right.
It's like I think snakes are all born with their own ability to understand each other whatever way they do.
Okay, I guess so. But yeah, I don't know. You'd surely still be able to learn it.
Yeah.
Like other people could get into the Chamber of Secrets.
But it's like they almost imply that, oh no, nah, that's not true. But they kind of do imply that there's no one seen any Parseltongue since Voldemort.
Yeah. They say that, don't they? But then that makes sense because there's no one else, like, I can't remember her name. Voldemort's mum is the last Gaunt. The other two die. And then she dies and it's just Voldemort and he doesn't have any kids.
But there must be other families who can, or just other people who have inherited it and shit.
Yeah, I don't know. You could like explain that by saying that in all those other families it's become so diluted that they aren't born with it anymore. But the Gaunts all married their cousins. They say they all married their cousins and that's why they're so lucky.
But that's like assuming that it only comes from one place and that it's only been passed down one line. Like there must be some people in like France and Germany and shit who like
the first guy that could ever do it.
I don't know.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But
Also, I mean, I get it. Maybe it's secretive or something, but why is it in a girl's bathroom? Like.
Yeah, I don't know why Slytherin would put it there.
Why was Slytherin in the girls' bathroom making it in there?
Creepy guy.
Slash, why?
I don't know. Maybe
why
it wasn't all the girls' bathroom. No.
It's on a tap though.
I know, but it could have been a boys' bathroom at a certain point, couldn't it?
Yeah,
maybe
but
they were woke and they just had unisex bathrooms back in the day.
Maybe. Wouldn't you want to have it somewhere that either gender of your like descendants could access not a gendered bathroom?
It was never going to be a girl, Max.
Yeah, okay.
Why isn't it just like in the dungeons anyway?
Well, it is, but like it would be too obvious to have the entrance there.
It's like underneath the dungeons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Voldemort found it in the girls' bathroom somehow.
What was he doing there?
He's like a prefect. He's like inspecting the girls' bathroom or some shit.
Gross. There's also, you meet Fudge in this one.
Oh yeah. Doesn't really go anywhere.
Idiot. I mean, like, he's important in a way,
Yeah.
but
Man, that shit with him later on is so frustrating.
I just found all the fifth book is just like so frustrating to read.
And the end of the fourth book where they have that first conversation after Cedric died, and he just like outright refuses to believe it.
Yeah. And it keeps being like, oh, you really believe this boy's like bullshit stories? It's like, what do you think happened? You know, like, what is your explanation for how Cedric just turned up dead?
Yeah. I don't know, bro.
I don't know, he's an idiot. Or an Aragog. You mean
Yeah,
Aragog?
yeah. Well, like Hagrid's kind of backstory comes up too, and that's kind of fucked up too. Like,
I know. There's no evidence. I guess like they find Aragog in the school and they know it's Hagrid's, but like, I don't know.
but
Is that
like,
enough evidence to expel him?
no, and also the attacks were like nothing to do with a spider.
Yeah, but I think they just like don't know what the fuck is attacking, which seems that's another one of those things, right? Where like nobody seems to know it's a basilisk, but Hermione figures it out.
Yes.
Like she's 12.
Yeah, I mean, shouldn't
like no one thinks, oh, this is like Slytherin's thing. Maybe it's a snake, something he could talk to and was like obsessed with.
Yeah, or like someone that knows about, oh, if there's people being stunned, then it could be like a basilisk or some shit.
Well, were the people being stunned the first time round?
I think so, because I think they were looking at, I think there were a bunch of attacks before Myrtle, and they were already like trying to move towards shutting down the school if they couldn't stop them or some shit. Isn't that kind of what they say or imply?
I think so, but again, it's just like, how is the snake stunning so many people? Like, for it to come out twice and both times just be like, there's water on the floor, or like they were using the camera.
Yeah, if a fucking giant snake popped up in front of you, the first thing you would do is look straight at it.
Yeah. Just out of shock, you'd be like, what is that big thing like moving in my vision?
Even if you happen to be holding your camera, which Colin Creevy is most of the time, you'd still like be looking at it as you like bring the camera up, you know?
Yeah, the only plausible explanation for that is Colin walks around with the camera already up, waiting to like take some photo of anything interesting that happens. Because otherwise, it just doesn't make sense.
He was like bringing it up and he hadn't quite got to the eyes yet.
But it's so stupid. It's like, I don't know. Like, it's like a Medusa thing, right? But like, she wasn't just like stunning people. Everybody got turned to stone, you know?
Yeah, and the mirror allows him to see her and not be anything, not get stunned or anything. Who is it? Hercules or Achilles or
One of those guys.
some shit?
Perseus. I don't know, one of those bitches.
Yeah, it's kind of like the thing with I mean, I guess it's stupid to criticize it because it is like a common plot device, but like, why are the things protecting the Philosopher's Stone things that you can get through? You know, like,
Yeah.
if you want to like have some way of like just clearing out all the mudbloods, why are you doing this thing that can fail so easily? You know.
Well, also like, yeah, surely if the snake was trying to get rid of mudbloods and it stunned them, then you'd just kill it with your like big fat fangs, you know?
Yeah, maybe they wanted to leave no trace or something.
I don't know. There's like,
Yeah, it could just eat them
yeah.
and there'd be no
It's
trace.
just like if you did enough damage, there wouldn't be evidence that it's like one fang bite from a snake, you know? Like if you fucked them up enough, they'd just be like meat at that point, right? And no one's gonna be like,
I guess it's a kid's book. You're not looking to have your like antagonists turn them into mush.
Yeah, well, then there wouldn't be much of a story. They would have just closed the school, and then there would be no more chance for deaths
that's
either.
so much shit the way. It's like, well, if you took the sensible route, there's no story.
He was pretty busy. Like Tom Riddle was like pretty busy while he was at school, though.
Yeah.
Like he already went off and killed his family. Like already unlocked the Chamber of Secrets. Plus, he was like a star in like all his classes and the whole school. And
yeah.
I think he also made a couple of Horcruxes while he was at school.
I mean, at least one, obviously, right? Because, I mean, that diary had to have been made while he was at school. Otherwise, it wouldn't be school-aged him in it, right?
Well, I'm not sure because like that whole area is a bit murky, and also it wasn't left in the school. He had it and he left it with Malfoy.
I know, I just mean that for the image of him that's coming out of the Horcrux to be Hogwarts aged Tom Riddle, surely that means the like
Bit of his soul that's in it had to have been Hogwarts aged Tom Riddle,
Well,
right?
I'm not sure about that though, because last time we were talking about how like whether the separate bits of soul are separate preservations of that time or if they're still connected, because he knows about Harry Potter, which could just be from Ginny.
It does say that she's talked about Harry Potter because she is like in love with him.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he knows like who Harry is from Ginny. But I guess it could be like I'd kind of assumed that he didn't know who Harry was. And then he's like, oh, tell me about Harry Potter. And she's like, oh, he's amazing. He like killed Lord Voldemort or the Dark Lord.
He's like, hey, that's me.
That's me.
Who's this Joker?
Well, I kind of think of it, like this thing, like where when you split an atom and you put the pieces on either side of the world, they like gravitate back towards each other because they're still like one thing.
Yeah.
I think of it like that, like they're in 7 pieces and stored in different 6 objects and shit, but they're still kind of like interconnected. But then again, he doesn't know when they've destroyed them, so like I guess they don't know what he's doing either, maybe. But in the 6th one, where they destroy the locket,
Yeah.
it does some other trippy, like, imagery, illusion kind of shit.
But that's more like showing them like their worst fears, right?
7th one, sorry.
rather like that's more that seems more like a defensive tactic of like, if I scare them enough they won't kill me, you know?
Yeah, but it could be like showing her what she most wants to see, which could be like a really cool, handsome teenage boy, not like a fucking old man.
See him though?
What?
Does she see him though?
Maybe not.
I don't think it says, at least I don't, remember her talking about seeing him, because I think she just writes in this diary and it writes back. And then she keeps having these like blackouts,
Okay. Also, I think he made the Ravenclaw Horcrux when he was at school, because it's in the school, right?
I feel like, and I haven't read the 7th one, but I feel like it says that he made that one when he comes back to the school and doesn't get the job.
But do you really reckon he was like sneaking around right under Dumbledore's long crooked nose?
I mean, I don't know. That's one of those like I might even, be wrong about that, but that's what I thought happens in the books. But then again, it's like, do you have to be making a Horcrux like immediately after you've killed someone? Or is it like you've killed someone, so your soul inside of you is already broken up and then you can make a Horcrux whenever you want? I don't know. It's not clear. So like, arguably when he kills his dad, he then makes the diary or whatever. But then if he makes the diadem into a Horcrux while he's at Hogwarts, he doesn't kill anyone then, right?
Well, he killed 3 people though with his dad. He killed his grandparents too.
Oh yeah.
So
But he doesn't have, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. She should write some books from his perspective.
I was thinking that. I thought, was that?
Like Twilight did, she wrote the book from Edward's perspective.
Nah, that's bullshit. That's shit.
I tried listening to it as an audiobook and it was
just like the worst thing I've ever listened to. And I just like was laughing so much I couldn't focus on what was going on. I was like, this is stupid.
I'm not going there.
Nah, not with it.
But I thought it could be kind of cool to have like like you were saying, like his parents stories and shit. Or like I was also thinking like other people who are at Hogwarts when he's not there, for example. Or like like some kind of like, even like just before he came, like Fred and George at Hogwarts, or like, there could be some real like cool shit to play around with the different characters.
I honestly just think that any of that would be really fun. Like Weasley's, Molly and Arthur at Hogwarts would be fun. Like, who is it? I think it's in the 6th one when McGonagall is talking to Neville about what newts he's going to take.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, just because your grandmother didn't pass her charms, Owl, blah, 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 blah. Like, how old is McGonagall?
I think she's probably in her 70s or something. Good question, actually. She must be nearly as old as Dumbledore. Dumbledore.
Dumbledore.
Because I mean, he wasn't the principal yet when Tom Riddle was there.
Yeah.
But then when he came back a while later, he was. But that was already when he was like starting to get big, which was like kind of only a few years before Harry was born, right?
What do you mean by big?
Popular, famous. What? He does get big.
Yeah. I thought you meant like old.
No. What?
He's like all grown up. He's big now.
No.
Anyway.
Big.
Yeah, how old is Dumbledore?
He's like 120 or so. Oh, no. Bathilda Bagshot is like 120 or some shit. And she's older than Dumbledore.
Right.
So he's not actually even that old. But there must be some kind of slippage because, like, there's like 50 years between Harry, present day Harry in the Chamber of Secrets and Hagrid getting kicked out of school.
Yeah.
So in that time, there has to be enough time for, if you work backwards from Harry being at school, so like 12 years before that he was born, and then say like 5 years before that his parents finished school, and then they were there for 7 years, and then Arthur and Molly Weasley were there before that because they didn't overlap. And so like that's already like nearly 40 years or something.
Yeah.
Depending on how old they were when they had Harry, which we don't actually know.
But you do know. No, I guess that doesn't help, does it? You know how old Lucius Malfoy is, because it says in like maybe the third book or something, or the second book, it says he's 41.
Yeah, because they think it was him that opened it the first time.
Yeah, but he wasn't.
And then they find out he's like early 40s. And they're like, oh, it can't be him.
Yeah.
But I guess you don't know. We don't know who he went to school with.
I think, yeah, because like maybe he's a bit younger than Harry's parents or something. But he's also like, oh no, that doesn't really matter. Because Harry's parents were at school with Snape.
Yeah.
But not necessarily Lucius Malfoy.
No. I just thought that, and then was like, there's actually no mention of that.
But maybe they overlapped, but that's weird. It's almost like Malfoy didn't exist back then.
Yeah.
Because like they can't be that much older or younger than 41.
Harry's parents?
Yeah.
No. Because you would think they were like, I don't know, I guess it is just ambiguous, isn't it?
They could be
early when they had Harry, and then they would be younger than Malfoy. They could be early 30s, and then they'd be older than Malfoy,
I think they were still quite young when they had Harry, but then they had done some shit, right? Because they were in the Order of the Phoenix and shit.
Yeah. How? I guess I thought that like Voldemort or Tom Riddle or whatever was younger when he like came to power. What was he doing for all those years after he finishes Hogwarts?
Exploring the dark arts. I think you're about to go through all that stuff in the pensive, like, in Dumbledore's private lessons with Harry in the sixth one, because like he finishes Hogwarts and then he immediately tries to get a job there, and they're like the headmaster at the time, which is not Dumbledore, turns him down, but Dumbledore also like advised him pretty strongly to turn him down, but he was like, oh well, maybe when you're a bit older,
Yeah.
But then he goes away, works at Borgin and Burke's.
Oh yeah.
And then he disappears for ages. So we don't actually know how long that is really. But then he comes back after he disappears and he's already got a like crew of Death Eaters. But then he's trying to, this is what I was getting at actually. He comes back and he's saying like, I want to work here now. And Dumbledore's like, basically like, no. And like, at that time, he knows everything about what Voldemort's doing. Like he knows that he came with like a crew of people and that they're sitting in Hogshead, and he knows exactly who they are. And I kind of find like I would find it a bit unbelievable to think that he could sneak in and put the tiara, whatever it is, what's it called? Diadem.
Yeah.
Tiara in the Chamber of Secrets at that time, because like Dumbledore's like tracking him pretty hard.
That's true. But then how maybe he took the diadem with him, you know, and then made it into a Horcrux and then brought it back.
Well, maybe it wasn't at Hogwarts and he just brought it back.
Oh yeah.
And he like just took a little detour to the girls' bathroom to sneak it in there.
No, to the room of requirement, isn't it?
Oh, is that where it is?
Yeah, because she like doesn't Harry find the Ravenclaw ghost, and she's
I
like,
haven't quite got there yet.
Things are found or something, and he's like, oh,
He
my
what?
Nothing.
Oh yeah, we
It's
don't
a
need to go there.
requirement.
Okay.
Where like people just put random shit.
So maybe he's like and which the room of requirement is like on the way to Dumbledore's office, right? Yes, because there's a bit where Harry's going to Dumbledore's office and he bumps into Professor Trelawney, who's trying to like hide her sherry bottles in there.
No. It's so funny how like every time, you know, like in the fifth one, it's established that she's like started drinking sherry all the time. And he's like, she always smells like sherry. And then in the sixth one, every time he meets her again, he's like, fuck, she smells like sherry. It's like,
Yeah, and she keeps dropping like
she's just an alcoholic.
like derogatory comments about the centaur.
Yeah.
Like calling him like a nag and shit.
Yeah, I don't know about the timelines. I don't think it's not very clear.
It would have to be like he left school for a few years, let's say 5. And then in that time, Dumbledore became the headmaster and McGonagall became the transfiguration teacher.
Yeah.
But then like, so she must be older than Voldemort, eh?
So that would then be like 40 years ago or something from like Harry Potter time, right?
Yeah, maybe 40 or 45. Oh yeah, probably 40, yeah.
Yeah. So then I don't know what, there's 11 years of Harry's, the, you know, like the non-war times, and then it says it was like the darkest 9 years of everyone's lives, so it's been like 20 years. So it was like late 30s when he came to power.
That would kind of make, yeah, where's all that time going?
What's he up to?
I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of assumed it was quicker than that or something. Anyway. Yeah, this is also, I guess, like this book for the setting up all the like he's got part of Voldemort inside of him stuff, you know?
Does it?
Yeah. Because he's like the heir of Slytherin, right?
Oh, right, and he can do partial time and shit. Yeah, Dumbledore tells him that, right, at the end of the second one.
What?
That the reason, huh? That the reason he's Parselmouth is because of the whole the scar.
Oh
and
yeah.
shit.
He says, he's like, oh, I think when Voldemort tried to kill you, he transferred some of his powers to you. Or something.
Yeah.
Some of his abilities.
Yeah.
But that also kind of was set up in the first one too, because when he sees Voldemort, like in the forest, and then at the end, his scar is like burning and shit. So it's kind of like the connection is like set up there.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Neville Longbottom in the Chamber of Secrets.
Can't believe she named him Longbottom, eh? That's so
On the nose.
I saw this like slam poetry thing by a anyway. About Cho Chang and like how like finally there's like an Asian character in a major series, but like her name's Cho Chang and like they're both surnames. Like Cho and Chang are both surnames, and like they're not even Chinese, and like I don't know, that kind of shit. I mean, a lot of the names are kind of ridiculous.
Oh yeah. A lot of the names are so like derivative, you know? Even like Snape, you know, like Severus Snape.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a combination between snake and rape. Yeah, it said that I actually read the kind of like the Wikipedia page about Harry Potter a while ago, and then it's like got a section on literary style, which I think is a stretch. But like it says that like a lot of the names are like onomatopoeia.
Yeah. When like Trelawney's first name is Sybil, who is like an oracle of Delphi, you know?
Oh.
Like
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it of this book.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Moaning Myrtle.
Oh yeah.
Bro, she lives in the U-bend of the toilet.
Yeah.
I didn't really retain that the first time around. And then in the movie, she's like goes back into the toilet. And then she says something about hanging out in the U-bend. I was like, that's not real. And in the book, she is. It says a bunch of times that she's like living in her usual U-bend. I'm like, what the fuck? Why is she choosing to live in the toilet? She's gonna have piss and shit flush through her every day.
What also, she says that, I can't remember what book it's in. Maybe it's in the fourth one when she's like having a bath with Harry. But she says something about how she like tried to go haunt one of the girls who was mean to her or some shit. And then like she died. So she just came back to Hogwarts to live in the U-bend.
But also, like,
does it mean though that the ghosts can like exist wherever they want, and they've, I don't know, they're deciding to live at Hogwarts all the time?
I don't know. I mean, obviously they didn't all die at Hogwarts.
No.
I actually also thought like they must have all gone to Hogwarts, right? All the ghosts.
I guess so.
Because they all have a house. Like, Nick is like part of Gryffindor and shit.
Maybe they get sorted once they come there.
I doubt it. But also, bro, this is pretty fucking weird though, because like nearly
Yeah.
headless Nick goes on about how like his neck was like hacked like 90 times or whatever with a blunt axe.
Yeah.
What was he doing being beheaded with an axe? Like, who was fucking him up with an axe? He's a wizard.
Well, I was just gonna say, there isn't actually, I don't think, any indication that any of them like carry. It's not like they have ghostly wands or anything. Maybe they weren't wizards, but they're ghosts, so they
No.
just joined the world then.
No, after Sirius dies, Harry goes and asks Nick about what happens when you die. And he's like, some wizards can choose to come back.
That's true. You're right. You are right. I don't know. He's just done.
Aha!
and hacking to bits.
What was that?
He's just an idiot who let someone hack him to bits then. I don't know. His wand rolled away.
He should have like Expelliarmus the axe or something. But also, I know it doesn't go into detail about the kind of like lore of ghosts and shit. But like, I don't see how she fits in the U-bend. She like purposefully transforms into the shape and size of the U-bend.
No, she's like the same shape and size as she normally is. She just like centralizes around you.
The U-bend's in her then.
I also don't understand what Peeves is.
Neither.
They say he's not a ghost. So is then he just like visually just a man? Like floating around their halls and shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who says he's not a ghost?
I think they say it in the first one.
Maybe they're wrong.
Maybe they are.
Because he obviously like floats through stuff like a ghost would. Maybe that's never happened. Maybe I've imagined that.
Also, it's quite ambiguous whether or not they can like touch or affect matter. Because obviously they can go through walls and shit. But like there's some bits like where there's like a bit where Myrtle like flies back into the toilet and like splashes water everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, so what? They can just touch shit now. But there's like a bit too where like they can't touch shit. They like it says somewhere that like, you know, they can't do that shit.
Well, they can't touch people because that's one of the things that she always describes in exactly the same way of like they'll touch them or walk through them and she's like, oh, it feels like you've had a bucket of cold water thrown over you or some shit, you know?
Yeah, but
So but Peeves can touch things, which is
Yes.
why he's not a ghost.
But like obviously there's instances of ghosts touching things though.
Why? When?
Well, Myrtle splashes the water.
Yeah, I guess that's one.
I don't know. There's not enough of that like world building, you know?
No.
That says those things.
It's like a weird like assemblage of kind of folklore from different places.
Yeah, when sometimes things just happen for the convenience of what's happening then, you know?
Well, I don't agree with that.
No, neither. I'm just saying.
I think she should have done it differently.
It's better in the books, obviously. Like, there's all these bits in the movies.
There's one of the movies that
Starts with like the camera coming into Harry at the Dursleys, and he's using Lumos to read his wizarding books.
No, he's not.
he is.
Nah,
In
he
the book-
doesn't. Nah, I'm pretty sure he's got a torch He's got a flashlight.
No. In the books, I'm certain he has a flashlight. A torch. It's called a torch. But in the movie, there's a bit where he says Lumos and it goes a little bit, and then he says Lumos and it goes brighter, and then the whole screen goes white, and you like have the title sequence or something. I'm so sure.
Oh, in the movie he uses Lumos.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just, we don't care about that.
I know. I'm just saying. At least the books are a little bit better than that nonsense where they're just like, wouldn't it be fun to do magic?
You know, after he blows up Aunt, what's her name?
I wanted to say Aunt Bertha, but that's that picture book that we had.
Yeah, I wanted to say Aunt Muriel, but that's Ron's aunt.
Yeah.
Anyway, blows up his auntie. There's something wrong with the bitch. There's something wrong with the pub. But then he runs away, and he's using Lumos out on the street, and that's how the night bus comes to pick him up, because he like raises his wand to try and see Sirius.
Oh yeah, isn't there a bit where he says though, he's like, well, I've already blown up my aunt. I might as well.
Yeah, but then they just let it go.
Yeah, but that's when Fudge is real, like, oh, Harry, you know? And Harry thinks he's there to expel him, and he's like, oh, we don't expel kids for blowing up their aunts.
No, but he didn't just do that. But yeah, no, whatever. He's like, they're more worried about catching Sirius than catching Harry at that point.
Yeah, but also, like, if the Minister for Magic says that to you, you're not going to be like, oh, but I also did Lumos, sir. Like,
he would. He fucking always says shit like that.
He's such a dweeb, eh?
Yeah, actually, the underage magic thing, I think in the fourth one, I was like, why are they not all just doing magic? Because, like, there's no way anyone would know who's doing magic at the World Cup.
Yeah, right. They should just be doing that.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have it anyway.
All right. Well, I think that's about enough of that. Any major things that we haven't covered? Not really.
Not that I can think of, you know.
Oh, he frees Dobby at the end.
Yeah.
Quite artfully, I think.
Huh?
Quite artfully.
Yeah. And it's pretty sweet. It's like a really nice moment, you know, forging a friendship for the next few years.
And kind of setting up for all the spew stuff.
Yeah.
In advance. Oh no, not really actually. That's from the other elf. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Cool.
That was cool.
Nice.
And
good yarn.
Huh?
I said good yarn.
Yeah, mate. And stay tuned next time for the Prisoner of Azkaban.
The only one without Voldemort.
Yeah, the only break we get from Voldemort. But I mean, it kind of is still about Voldemort.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's still Voldemort adjacent, but he's not like there, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.